Okay, let's dive into this. Anyone who's ever cracked open an anatomy textbook knows it's filled with all these super specific directional terms. Well, today we're going to break down two of the most common ones that can be kind of tricky: proximal and distal.
So let's kick things off with a little pop quiz. Fill in the blank. The elbow is blank to the wrist. Now, it seems simple, right? But believe me, this is exactly the kind of question that can trip you up. But don't worry, we're going to solve this little puzzle together.
First up, let's get our head around the term proximal. It basically means closer to the point where a limb connects to the body. So for your arm, where does it attach? Your shoulder, right? That means anything closer to your shoulder is proximal. Simple as that.
And on the flip side, you've got distal. It's the complete opposite. It just means farther away from that same attachment point. So, sticking with our arm example, anything that's farther from your shoulder is considered distal. They're perfect pair.
So let's just boil this down. Proximal, closer. Distal, farther from. But here is the absolute key, and you've got to remember this. These terms are all relative. You can't just say something is proximal. It's always proximal to something else. All right, let's get back to our original puzzle. Now that we have the definitions down, we've got the tools we need. Let's apply them and crack this thing wide open.
Let's walk through this step by step. First, what are we comparing? The elbow versus the wrist. Easy. Second, what's our reference point for the arm? That's the shoulder. Okay, step 3 is the big one. Which is closer to the shoulder? The elbow, of course. And boom, that leads us right to our conclusion. The elbow has to be proximal.
And there you have it. The elbow is proximal to the wrist. See? Once you apply that simple logic, the answer is actually pretty clear. It's not so bad after all. Now, I've got a great little memory trick to help this stick in your brain forever. The word proximal sounds a whole lot like proximity, doesn't it? And what does proximity mean? Closeness. So if you just connect proximal with proximity, you'll never forget that it means closer. Pretty handy, right?
So yeah, the key takeaway is just this. Proximal is closer, distal is farther. We've totally got the arm down, so let's test this whole concept out on the leg.
Okay, here's a new challenge for you. The knee is blank to the ankle. Take a second and think about it. What's the attachment point for the leg? And then, which of those two is closer to it?
And the answer is proximal. Exactly. The reference point for the leg is the hip. And since the knee is closer to the hip than the ankle is, the knee is proximal to the ankle. See? You're totally getting the hang of this.
And this really shows how these terms are always a pair. If the knee is proximal to the ankle, then the reverse has to be true. The ankle, being farther from the hip, is therefore distal to the knee. It always works both ways. It's like a two-way street.
All right, to wrap this up, here's one final challenge, and it's all on you. Go ahead, look at your own hand right now. Are your knuckles proximal or distal to your fingernails? Just remember the attachment point, apply the logic we talked about, and you'll have the answer. It's a great way to make sure this concept really sticks.